3i is a private equity firm. We buy companies, we hold them for 3-5 years, we sell them. And in the current environment, we buy businesses and we have to improve them in some way, shape or form. Active partnership was effectively, how do we find the value in the business and how do we deliver it? Because we were suddenly buying businesses thinking that we could change them. And what this meant was changing the investor mindset, changing it from being, I do deals, yeah, I find someone, I negotiate, I get 20% or I get 30% of the company for 50,000. Now it's, I'm leading change. They went from in 2001, none of them had sat on a board, to 2007, controlling every board. Okay? So they were sacking CEOs. And when I spoke to them and said, what's your problem when I arrived, their biggest comment, they said, Miles, we don't know what we're doing. I don't know how to do my job. Now, private equity pays more than investment banking. So you've got very successful alpha male multimillionaires saying, I don't know how to do my job anymore because we've changed the company and I'm still here and I've been here for 25 years and I'm not going anywhere, but I don't now know what I'm doing. So we designed a program based on 3 things. The first one was a sort of hard skill. How do you actually spot a problem in a business? So the first thing we had to do is learn, teach them how to spot what's good, what's bad across a whole range of the business. Interestingly, not that hard to do. Okay? Second thing we needed to teach them to do was about transformations. Because from an investor point of view, if someone comes to me, they say, I'm trying to get the company from here to here. What goes through my head is 16,000 people, 200 locations, get a sense of the scale of the change of behaviors and mindsets. 18 months, 4 million. That's my skill as an investor. How it works in practice, no idea. But I know it's going to take 18 months and 4 million. So we then had to teach them how to do that, and also what systems need to be in place. You know, there's these program offices and change agents, and just top level. So they could have the conversation with the CEO. When the CEO said, I'm going to change this company, they could say, no, I don't believe you. Do that. But then most importantly, they didn't want to do the job that they'd accidentally created for themselves. So to be a good passive investor, you have to listen to presentation after presentation after presentation, listen to all this noise, stay very centered and say, you I like 50,000. Yep. You, thank you very much. No. You, yep. But I'm not responsible for delivery. Now I'm responsible for delivery. That means not being centered but cooperating. That means not judging you but working with you. And that's the hard one. So what did I do? Well, the first thing is I said, right, 18 months, a few million. So I know my own organization and what I need to change. Don't worry, it wasn't a few million, it's slightly less. It's a lot of money though. And then I thought, right, I need to find a partner because I can find the technical expertise on these areas relatively easily in the market. Change is far harder. So how do I get the mindset changed? With people who are overpaid, overqualified, at which point I met Debbie.
I'd say we started out first, and what you'll see from this set of slides here is that overall people came back with comments that the 4-day workshop that we pulled together was the most successful that 3i had ever had. And in many cases, the most successful they felt they'd ever had in their life. Now, you might easily say 4 days is a long time for a financial services company and probably unheard of in most cases. So I'd like to take you back to what were some of the key criteria for success to ultimately get people to walk out of this workshop and go, wow, this was something that we never thought we could ever see or feel before. And the first, I'd say, was knowing that we had, as a role model, because we had to role model always what we were asking of them, that we had here an active partnership relationship, okay? So they could feel that was coming and that we were heavily sponsored and supported, and there was really active engagement of us making sure that this was working well for the organization. Secondly, we needed to make sure that Miles had the support of the CEO. We've got to make sure that we're getting really good core pilot that works well and then starts to engage. We've done now 5 workshops of about 15 people, 16, 17 people per workshop. And each one we've sought to custom design. Not fully, but enough that they could feel that it worked for them, that it wasn't a cookie cutter workshop that was just being rolled out. We also wanted to make sure that the key leader, the most senior person in every workshop, knew how to role model up front. And so we got them to go through their 360 and then share what their 360 was right at the very beginning. We called this the Open the Kimono Talk. So this was about, we're all in this together in terms of the learning going forward. So huge element of the prep, 4 days. The 4 days were taking us through what is influence. We went to the place of knowing that influence in different languages can mean manipulate in some. And we wanted to go to a different root of the word, a different mindset for influence. And if you look at the root of the word in Latin, it's influentia, meaning in flow. So our thinking was if you can be in flow with yourself, then you can be in flow with another human being so much more readily. And then we could start being more in flow with our colleagues as well. And that's actually what happened. So we ended up taking to the place of relating, being in flow, to co-creating my idea, your idea, and there can be a third alternative as the base for looking at influencing. And ultimately what worked out coming into this workshop, we had individual people sitting on individual boards feeling very alone in the organization, like Richard Barrett had mentioned about different individual cells, coming together in the workshop and going, oh, wow, it feels so much better when we're all together. And so coming out of the workshop was a sense that we can share ideas and we could support each other coming out of it, which then felt as if there was a galvanizing energy going forward to the organization. To keep this alive, coaching, individual, and location workshops in each of the regions is what the plan is. This is just a slide indicating what the overall from-tos were, and here you can look, if you want, some of the quotes from the workshop to say what they got out of it and what they were wanting in order to be able to recommend it to others. I'd say one other key feature of what was successful there was the most diverse workshop ended up being the most successful. Different countries, different levels, different nationalities, in fact, different departments, because this started getting spread beyond private equity, which is a part of 3i, it's not all of 3i, into different divisions. And once we had all of that diversity coming in, it was like everybody could let go of their own stuff and where they came from and their own beliefs into how do we bring this all together to look at something completely different. Whether you're coaches or whether you're running change programs, sponsors or whatever, you will hit a point. Most of you will be up for new ideas. So it's quite rare that you'll hit something that's uncomfortable. But the moment you do, where someone actually says, do something dramatically different to who you are, I'd say if you really want to understand change programs, you've got to be up for that. So not up for the bit that's exciting and learning and developmental, but the bit that feels not you, not comfortable, outside your way of working. That's the bit where I got the most out of it personally. So they are my learnings.